Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the culminating performance of Stage Stories. My name is Debra Pasquerette, and I am the director of the Creative Aging Program at the Wallis Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts. And Stage Stories is one of our writing classes for older adults. And this is the culminating performance of this class. The class has been meeting for 10 weeks. And what I'm going to do is introduce you to their teacher, Victoria Kemsley, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the class, and then we'll be back at the end to host a Q&A with the writers. So Victoria?
Hello, everybody. I'm Victoria Kemsley, and I have had the privilege and fun of teaching this class for the past 10 weeks. How we do this class is we give each of the writers a prompt, and they write to that prompt. They get about 7 stories, and then for this performance, they choose the story that they like best, and perhaps what the other students have suggested that they do. We don't tell them which story to present because some of them are quite personal and intimate. So I'm very proud to start this show off with our first writer, Andrea.
Hello, I'm Andrea, and my first piece, my story, is titled Trouble. Mark and I were flying into New York City. We'd had a successful week at the International Dog Show in Germany. The 2 of us and 2 champion dogs, they and cargo. There were quite a few dogs on our flight, but all of them well-traveled, and for the most part, well-behaved and calm. As we neared North America, we looked out at the window, admiring the scenery as we began to see Canada. Checking the map on our in-seat screen, Mark commented, "I've always wanted to see Nova Scotia." We could see lush scenery through the clouds below. Yes, I agreed. One day. From below us, a canine choir started frantically barking. Strange. And then we heard the unique noise a plane engine makes when a descent begins. Why, I wondered. We weren't due to land for another hour or more. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to make an emergency landing. Please stow away and secure all items in your overhead compartments and restore your trays to their original position. Please fasten your seatbelts. The flight crew will be coming through to collect all items you wish to discard. The pilot's voice over the speakers. Are we in trouble, I wondered? Annie, our first-class flight attendant, passed by to collect trash and double-check that the seatbelts were fastened securely. She walked fast, too fast. We descended quickly, too quickly, I thought. Our seats were over a wing. I looked. No fire, no smoke. Could we be low on fuel? Would that be an emergency? I checked with Mark, needing some reassurance that this was all just routine. His response, I hope the dogs are okay. Annie passed by again, walking even faster, this time tears streaming down her cheeks. All around, a noisy chorus of voices, the low hum of anxiety. Were we in trouble? Real trouble? Were we going to crash? Time passed slowly with no information. It seemed endless. Finally, the captain spoke again. His voice cracked. Ladies and gentlemen, airspace over New York City has been closed. There are reports of acts of terrorism in the United States. Borders are closed. We will be landing in Halifax. We will give you more information as we know it. At a postage stamp size airport, we were the first jumbo jet of 68 to follow. September 11th, 2001. We were in trouble. And now I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Lisa.
Hi, my name is Lisa Pelican, and the story I will be reading today is titled, I Still Don't Remember His Name. Lisa! Lisa! It's so good to see you! I've just stepped off the subway onto the 42nd Street platform. I turn to my right and I see a man running toward me. He has blonde hair. He's very good looking. I feel like I might have known him from somewhere, or at least would like to. He hugs me. I'm startled. I didn't think I knew him that well. He has both his hands on my upper arms, holding me with joy in his eyes. Hi, I say. We stand in silence. Tears start to come into his eyes. You don't remember me, do you? He pulls his arms away from me. I don't know what to say. I don't want to hurt him, but I can't lie. You really don't remember me. I can't believe it. My mind is struggling to put the pieces together. Juilliard? He says finally. Oh, yes, a classmate from Juilliard. My brain still feels scrambled. And then I start to remember the basement of his parents' house in Queens, New York, where we rehearsed a scene for acting class. What scene? Which play? I do remember him showing me girls' clothing. He had them hidden in a trunk under the green sofa in the basement. That's right. Oh, he loved to wear girls' clothing. He had trusted me in sharing that. This man, whose name I can't remember, had trusted me. He had even put the clothes on for me. I remember now that I tried to stay cool, as if this was normal for me to see a man wearing women's underwear. Fascinating and scary. How old was I? 17, 18? How many years ago? I hate you. I've looked up to you and followed your career, and now I hate you. He turned away from me and ran off in the direction he had come from. I stood there on the platform, looking after him. I still don't remember his name. And now I'd like to introduce you to my fellow writer, Mady.
Hello, my name is Mady, and my piece is called Give It Time. The New York Times put it best. 17 years younger than the both of us, and a Tampa Bay Buccaneer cheerleader. Of course. My therapist laughed when I came in with a newspaper picture and article. I had never heard her laugh before. My stories weren't funny. 15 years later, and still there are the dreams, and he's in them. No longer angry ones, just a presence. COVID brings separation from friends and an ex-husband. But Thanksgiving 2021 brings a change too. I'm vaccinated, boosted, and living 2,789.2 miles across the land. At my daughter's request, my ex-husband is coming to my table, to my first home, picked and purchased by me alone. My Thanksgiving, my style, my friends, my life. I'm not the girl of 20 who turned his head. I'm not even the woman of 60 who signed the agreement that took so long to agree upon. My once thick hair has disappeared. My jowls sag. My neck is turkey-like. I'm this new version of me. There's a freedom to aging. What was important no longer is. Wardrobes can get stale. Legs go unshaved. Gray comes and goes. Only the cranberry sausage stuffing stays the same. The leaves are added to the table. Our grandchildren have decorated the place cards, and guests arrive. His only job is the wine. We wait and wait and wait. He comes in last with his junior wife and her pocketbook-sized dog. We smile. I smile. The table is long enough to have distance. The place cards do the seating. I glance over now and then to see the familiar face, also aged, yet the same. My end of the table toasts Biden. Their end of the table toasts toilet paper. It's working. It's almost natural. My daughter has her daddy, and I have my dignity. We move on. And now I'd like to introduce you to my fellow writer, with pleasure, Patty.
Hi, my name is Patty, and the title of my story is Maybe. I look in the mirror and place the lipstick to my mouth. There it is, that spot on my upper lip where the lip liner never glides on smoothly. A bump and just a little too much liner in that one spot. Then smooth as silk as soon as I move beyond it. I know that throughout the day, the liner spot will intensify, bleed, just a small dark smudge above the actual line of my lip. I look at it now, and once again, I remember just a flicker of a memory that grabs at my breath and then is gone in an instant. I take a tissue, wipe the smudge away, and reapply the liner. Carefully, carefully. Maybe this time it won't smear. Maybe this time it will slide on just right. Maybe this time everything will be perfect again. That night, 24 years ago, won't have happened. The fist, so hard and so fast, won't blind me with its fury and its force, won't shock me with its senselessness, won't make my mouth hurt and my eyes swell and my brain spin and my heart stop. Maybe the metallic taste of my blood won't stun me into submission. Maybe it won't be true after all. Maybe I can believe in the world once again, believe that it's beautiful. And maybe, just maybe, I can stop being so damn afraid. But the lip pencil skips, just as it always does. I look at the spot, the remnant of that night, and once again, I know it's true. It happened. The world is not as beautiful as it could be. It isn't safe. There are evil people in it who will hurt you just as soon as look at you. And now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my fellow writer, Ala.
Hello, my name is Ala, and I would like to tell you a story today that named I Remember. April 29, 1986. I remember how this day began. It was my regular day off. And after sending my 6-year-old daughter to school, I decided to catch up on sleep. The phone suddenly rang and jolted me out of bed. It was not a regular ring, meaning the call was not local. It was an international call, and getting such a call early in the morning was rather surprising and worrisome. I answered the phone and heard the unfamiliar voice saying, "Ala, hi, this is Sasha. I am your husband's cousin from Israel. What is happening in Kiev? Where is your daughter?" In my 8 years of marriage, he never called before, and it made me worry. He sounded distressed. I said, "What do you mean what's happening in Kiev?" "All is well. My daughter is at school. Your cousin is at work. All is well." "Don't you know what happened? Don't you know about Chernobyl?" he asked. "Do you know what happened there?" "No," I said obliviously. He seemed surprised and upset at the same time. He paused, maybe pondering what else to say to make me concerned. And then his tone changed, and he said the words I will always remember. "It was a nuclear explosion in Chernobyl. The whole world is talking about it, and I can't believe you heard nothing." "We had no idea. When did it happen?" I asked. "Saturday, the 26th. My anxiety surged, and these words, like a colossal weight, landed on my heart. I could not believe it. The explosion happened 3 days ago, but we had no idea. Maybe it was not so severe. That's why the government did not announce it, I asked him. No, he replied. It was severe, and it is dangerous. We said goodbye, and I called everyone to ask if they have heard what happened in Chernobyl. No one did. Our lying government did not say a word about the devastation near Kiev, and it took them 5 days to print a little blurb in a local newspaper. By then, we knew that things went terribly wrong because many had families abroad, and they told us what our government tried to hide from us. None of us understood the magnitude of this tragedy, and none of us knew that this encounter with death and destruction forever turned our lives upside down. And now I have a pleasure introducing you to my fellow writer, Kathy.
Good afternoon. My name is Kathy, and my story is entitled 4th of July at the Ranch. As we turn into the driveway, the gravel crunches under the tires, and the pungent scent of eucalyptus trees welcomes us back. When we climb out of the old Plymouth, the July sun warms my face and makes me squint. We're at Uncle Johnny and Aunt Zetta's ranch. The parking area is bare, except for a concrete reservoir and a shed. It looks like there's nothing else here, but what awaits us down the hill makes my heart sing. We pass through an archway of bushes and down stone stairs onto a dirt clearing that is cool and inviting. It has a canopy of ancient oak trees that shelter us from the summer heat. There's a bunkhouse that Uncle Johnny built at one end of the clearing. The cabin has no electricity and no running water. I walk to the outhouse, up a path carpeted in leaves and twigs that crackle under my tennis shoes. I hold my breath when I open the door of that stinky little building. In the clearing, there are 2 stone fireplaces for cooking. And the smells of roasted chicken and corn on the cob welcome us to that idyllic hideaway. There are long trestle tables covered in bright red and white checkered tablecloths. The tables are already set with bowls of watermelon and potato salad. We kids will be sent to pick raspberries, boysenberries, and olalla berries from the prickly vines on the terraces leading to the orchard. We're proud that our berries will be added to the scrumptious feast. After lunch, we sit on the stone retaining wall, eating watermelon and spitting seeds out over the orchard. We admire the trees below with their neon yellow fruit and bright green leaves. They're Meyer lemons that are so sweet that sometimes we try to eat them like oranges. Uncle Johnny has hung swings from the branches of the huge oak trees. The wooden seats creak against the ropes as we pump our feet to make us go higher and higher over the orchard. As the lazy heat begins to subside, we head up the stone stairs to swim in the unheated concrete reservoir. The older folks sit in deck chairs, watching as the kids and their parents jump in and splash. They're used to getting wet, and they chuckle. It's our final delight before we head home. Over 65 years ago, and I can still smell the eucalyptus. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our next writer, Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen. The name of my piece is called Disillusion of Everything But Love. I stood before her beloved bookshelf, various knickknacks, her myriad of books, all gone. Instead, small pockets of items placed unevenly on a few shelves. Her high school yearbook, the year when she was your yearbook editor, sat separately from a few CDs, including the soundtrack of The Princess Diaries and John Mayer's first album. Reminders of what I once shared with her, hanging out in her room, from films to music, a tinge of sweet memories. Her room, though stripped of most of her belongings, was still intact. The same furniture we'd bought for her in elementary school, stark, worn marks on her desk, the desk she diligently completed homework on, all frozen in time. I could smell the scent of her hair, freshly washed after swim practice. I saw her completing an essay for English class or listening to her practicing French lessons. Unexpected thoughts of how much I enjoyed raising her. I haven't seen either of my daughters for 10 years, though they are very much alive. Thus, the yearning to hold on to something tangible, like a yearbook or a handwritten picture story, remnants of a prior life, pieces of who I am at this moment. I feel no closure. There is no closing a door to something that was so prevalent in one's lifetime. There is only acceptance. It's taken so long, and I am here, accepting what I cannot change. My girls are alive, and I may see them one day, or they may decide to remain estranged. It is not my choice. I do choose, however, to live my own life with my own definition of what acceptance is or is not. The closure is mine to define. My love for my children far exceeds any other part of my story. I embrace and celebrate love, every bit of it. And now it's a pleasure of mine to introduce you to my fellow writer, Neil.
Hi, I'm Neil Wrightson, and the name of my piece is The Natural World. After dinner one evening, while camping with my wife and 2 young children at Prairie Creek Redwood State Park in California, we headed out of our campsite to go to the ranger talk. Prairie Creek is an old-growth redwood forest. The trees are spectacular, and the environment is breathtaking. The walk from our campsite to the amphitheater took us on a path that skirted a lovely meadow. It was dusk, and to our delight, there was a herd of Roosevelt elk gathered in the meadow. My 3-year-old son was on my shoulders. My wife was walking behind us on the trail with our daughter, 6. Our kids were thrilled, and so were we. Even better, near us were a doe and her fawn. The meadow in the middle of the redwoods, the magnificent herd of elk, the evening light, it was magical. This was an important reason for our camping with our children. We wanted them to experience nature firsthand and to develop an appreciation for flora and fauna. Across the meadow, we saw a large buck with a magnificent rack of antlers. We stopped to take in the scene. "Look at the beautiful buck," I whispered. Soon, the buck took in the scene as well and began to walk slowly toward us. Then it became clear that the buck was coming faster, then charging toward us. The magic seemed to have drained from the scene. "Run," I yelled. We ran. My son was bouncing up and down on my shoulders, holding on for dear life. My wife and daughter were running hand in hand close behind. Then my daughter slipped and fell. And this moment is etched into my memory. As she fell to the ground, she didn't yell, "Mom" or "Dad." She yelled, "Somebody help me." Somebody? I now believe at that moment, probably for the first time, certainly not the last, it dawned on my very independent 6-year-old daughter that her parents could not always protect her. This may have been disappointing, but an important life lesson, as was the bluff charge of the bull elk protecting the doe and fawn. As soon as we ran, he stopped charging us. To keep our distance was all he was asking. Living in the world includes being faced with real danger and bad actors. Still, many times danger can be avoided simply by understanding the circumstances and the perspective of others. This lesson also we learned and have never forgotten. Okay, now I'd like to invite all of my colleagues, my fellow writers back.
Fantastic, everyone. Oh my goodness. I would like to do a little sincere gushing right now, if the audience will allow me. I'm so amazed at this group and the variety of stories that we've presented here today. I would like to encourage the audience to ask questions. You can do that in the Q&A or in the chat function. If you tried earlier, the chat function has a new button that needs to be pushed, and I didn't push it till halfway through, but feel free to do that. So if you have any particular questions, just speak right up. I have a couple of questions that I'd like to ask the group. The most important is, what brought you to this class? What made you find this class and sign up and have this amazing 10-week experience? Who would like to pipe up about that? Oh, Andrea, is that your hand up?
Yeah, that's my hand up. The minute I read about it, first of all, so many classes that are offered to seniors aren't really getting into the meat of what our memories are.
Mm-hmm.
They're random. And so the fact that this was indeed about memoirs and stories that we could share with each other, and I think it proved to be that we all dug deep. And that was a remarkable feeling almost from day one of it. But it's just wonderful to have a forum like this that can be very appreciated. And it felt that way from the first time I read about it.
Great. Oh, that's good to hear. I'm glad it fulfilled something that you were hoping for. Ala, did you want to say something?
Well, I did not, but since you called on me, like Andrea, I find that there's always plenty of classes for mature adults. I don't want to call myself senior. I consider myself mature. And invite everybody to feel this way as well. But when I read the first time about this class, I was absolutely inclined to participate in this, but the time was not right then. And I'm so happy I took this class now. It so enriched me. My own experience being with wonderful group of people, so creative, so inspiring. It's really touched my heart. And Victoria, thank you very much, because you were that lighthouse that we had to go.
Oh.
And you shine us and taught us so much. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Victoria.
Well, thank you, Ala. That's a lovely compliment, to be a lighthouse. I love that very much. Who else would like to tell us about what brought them to the Wallis for this semester? Yes, Kathy, and then Patty.
Hi, I was scrolling through Facebook, bored out of my noodle, and I saw a post where there was a short video of a woman from the class who took the class, and she read her story. But the tagline really got me. It said, "Have you ever wanted to write your life story?" I was like, no, but I think maybe I could. I'd never done any creative writing, and Debra and Victoria have just been so encouraging. And I feel like I have a writer in me. So thank you both.
Well, that's great, Kathy, because you do have a writer in you. And if nothing else, today's performance really showed us that. Patty, what have you got to say?
Well, I was fortunate enough to learn about the class from you, and just through your experiences of leading these classes and the breakthroughs that you had described to me of certain people, without naming names or telling me who they were, that a lot of these people were having in the class. And I mean, who doesn't think they've got the great American novel in them, ready to just be placed down on some pages? And I thought, well, let's just see what this writing thing is about. And I had no idea it was going to be this special. The ability to connect with other people who are just so beautiful and have such amazing stories inside of them. It taught me that I had those stories too. And I never thought I ever had an interesting tale to tell about myself. So it's been a revelation on so many different levels. I didn't know I was going to find out all of these wonderful things. So in many ways, it teaches me to just jump in when you feel the positivity that something is going to offer. So
Great. Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I'm glad that, again, that this has been fulfilling for you, and I hope you will continue. And I encourage all of you in the class and people attending to check out the fall semester. We would love to see you. And there's lots of opportunities, so keep your eyes peeled. Yes, Debra.
I was just going to say, in addition to the fall semester, I know some of you in this class are not in Los Angeles. It sounds like people are in other spots around the country. But for those of you that are in Los Angeles, we're having a 3-day summer camp, a creative aging summer camp at the Wallis, which is going to be at the end of August, which is going to have not only writing, but music and theater and all sorts of things. It's going to be just complete creativity explosion and fun. And so, so be on the lookout for that. And as Victoria mentioned, we have our roster of fall classes that'll be coming up. We will continue to have some of them online and some of them will be in person. We've been meeting in person, but outside because of COVID throughout this semester, and hope, probably end up doing that. But instead of umbrellas, probably heaters as we get further into the fall. But it's been lovely outside. So anyone that can make it there, wonderful. If not, there still will be things online as well. And be sure to also share it with your friends, as Victoria mentioned, because I think word of mouth is the way that people find out about this experience. And unless you've been in the class, you can explain it to somebody. And once you're in, it all changes, right? And I can completely tell when I started creating these classes, the thing that was most important to me, I mean, I'm an arts educator. I've been in the theater my whole life. That's what I do. But what's more important to me than that is the creation of community. And I can tell you all have created an incredible community here. And community is what makes the difference, and it builds the trust, and it makes you want to come back and do more. And it makes you excited, like who just said, to think you have a writer inside of you, because you do. You all do. You all have a voice, right? And it's a wonderful thing to be able to express that. So I'm so proud of all of you. You did an incredible job. what a great way to spend an afternoon. And I want to also thank the people outside of you, the audience that showed up as well, that spent time with us as well. So Victoria, go ahead. I just wanted to mention those things.
Yes, and one more thing that is that I want everybody to be alert to is that we had a storytelling night. I don't know how to describe it exactly, Deborah, on July 6th. And please keep your eyes peeled, students and audience, for another one in December. So we will be notifying everybody all the time, but that was a special night, and we're going to do it again December, beyond the days that we have attached to specific classes.
It's going to be an ongoing thing at the Wallis. Part of our artistic season will have stage stories, live performances that will feature writers from all the different classes. So, so even if you're out of town, you can get a plane ticket and come be on stage with us. So you'll hear from us once. We always say this: once you've been in the class, you're part of the Wallis family. You'll find out before the public does about the classes that are coming up, because they do sell out really quickly. They fill up super fast. So, but you will get a notice. We will make sure that we have this sort of master list now, that all of you that are in the family get those notices first, and then you can tell your other friends so they can get in too. So, but now that you're in, you're kind of stuck with us. So welcome to the family.
Well, as reluctant as I am to end today, I am going to say goodbye to you all. Thank you to the audience, and I'm just going to have a little weep here. Goodbye, all of you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Great job.